Hello everyone, and welcome back to a brand new video. And today, as you can see on the screen, we are here for F1 Esports round number 10, I believe. This was event 4, um, Imola. And you may be wondering, Josh, you did Zandvoort, so where are the highlights for that? So, after lasting a full one lap of the Zandvoort race, being on the brink of losing my job with 0 points, we move on to Imola for event 4, which, if you didn't know, I was given the opportunity to do all three races. So far in this series, it would have been Danny Bresnay and Barry doing the two races, or well, three for Barry, two for Danny, and then I would do one with Barry. But for this one, we decided to switch it up, so I'll be doing all three races in this event. So yeah, we started with Imola then, and actually, for reasons that I do not know, we have started in Q3. But just to update you on what happened, we got through Q1 on one set of tyres, which is very much ideal. And then Q2 we actually got through on one set as well, which is extremely ideal, meaning that we have two fresh sets for Q3, and I believe I think me and Barry were the only drivers who had two fresh sets. So both McLarens at a pretty big advantage right now in terms of able to get two fresh full push laps in. But it didn't matter because we bottled it, and our first run was a point 0.5, which is pretty terrible actually for a completely fresh set. I think as you see there, Brendan's in first with a point 0.5 on worn tyres. So yeah, that just shows how much we choked that first lap, and any advantage that we gained from being able to have two sets is completely down the drain because that lap was terrible. But anyway, on to my final run now, which I think most people know what happens, but I'll show the lap anyway. Starting the lap then, taking a little bit of curb, bring the car over to the left, and then in a straight line as much as possible, open the DRS, and thinking about turn 1, which can make or break your lap. And as you'll see as we go through it right now, that was absolutely perfect. After this turn 1 and turn 2, I was like, oh my god, this is it, this is the one. Now coming into the next chicane, beautiful amount of curb there, get the power down, do not invalidate. That's a 0.677 first sector. We are absolutely flying through that left-hander, pretty normal, nothing too outrageous there. Making sure not to run wide and invalidate through this next corner, and we take it pretty nicely. Now a very tricky corner, the downhill right-hander. You want to be taking the curb as we completely miss it. Oh no, lap might be in the bin. Definitely lost quite a bit of time here. And now into the chicane. Quite cautious. A little bit of sliding on the exit, but still carried good enough amount of speed through it that we didn't lose lots of time. And now into the final two corners. I think we really did nail these. Taking lots of curb there, getting the power down. Fourth gear, taking a nice little bit of curb there. Early on the power, stay very tight up to the line. And we have absolutely dominated that qualifying by 0.02 of a second. So, coming on to the end of the formation lap then, as you can see, me and David Snitz are the only people on soft tyres. I believe the rest of the entire grid is on mediums. And to be honest, we did test, and the soft medium was a very good strategy if you're at the front. And is quite low risk as well in terms of the fact that me and David are going to pull away at the start, no drama. We are going to be in a tiny bit of trouble, I think, later on in the race. As the medium runners pit for softs and we're on mediums and they start to catch up. But yeah, as the lights go out now, we get a pretty decent start using a bit of ERS to make sure we stay ahead of David. And yeah, just from here, obviously first time in the lead of an esports race. Just about making sure we keep up the good pace, make sure we pull away from the medium runners, very important on this alternate strategy. We did have good race pace. I've gone on a lot about how McLaren didn't really have much race pace. But Imola, me and Barry both had very good race pace. So yeah, all about keeping it clean, consistent, make that gap to the medium runners. Obviously not going to break DRS to David. He also has very good race pace. But yeah, at this point I was feeling pretty comfortable actually, just because I had that increased confidence at Imola. Race pace was good. The race setup was really good. Um, as you can see off this first lap, keeping David 6 tenths behind, so we definitely had a good bit of pace. Unfortunately, not enough to break out DRS. But yeah, this race gets a little bit hectic later on as we end our first ever lap in the lead of the race. Gap Danny Moreno, still not enough yet. Obviously, we're going to break him out of DRS because the softs are just so much quicker than the mediums at the start. But yeah, very crucial that we just broke them out of DRS straight away and start pulling that gap. Because very soon after the pit stops, they're going to be the ones on the fresh softs, on the hunt. Meanwhile, me and David on the mediums. And the longer we can keep them behind, the better. Because at the end of the race, our mediums are going to come into play a bit more. But that's not going to matter if they've already overtaken and they're seconds down the road. So the middle part of this race is going to be very crucial to our strategy. Obviously, as well as this first part, the more distance that we can get between or before our pit stops, obviously the better. And we're driving very well right now. Still, the nerves were pretty low. Better than I thought, to be honest, in the lead of an esports race. But yeah, the race really isn't that bad for nerves, actually. Qualifying is pretty bad. But yeah, we were comfortable. We were driving well, not missing apexes, not over driving at all. Gap to Moreno, 2 seconds now. I remember from practice with Barry, he was a little bit further behind, if I remember correctly, when we were on these opposite strategies. So I think the medium runner pace is very good right now with Danny Moreno. But we're still pulling out a gap, that's all that matters. So yeah, moving on now then to lap number 9. We're going to make our pit stop. As you can see, coming out the final corner, a little bit of sliding, soft tyres were starting to die, so this is a good lap to pit. David goes on another lap, so we're going to get a bit of an undercut on him, but also he's going to have them fresh tyres, which will make a difference right towards the end. As you can see there, all the medium runners going past. Don't have to worry about that car blocking me. That could have been quite a bad situation there if a ghosting was off and we got held. But yeah, as you can see there, Jarno, Lucas also pitting, except they're pitting onto the softs. So we pit at the same time, but they've just gone a lot shorter distance on their mediums. We're going to go 12 laps, and they've done 10. And yeah, now the challenging part of the stint begins, because now you see Brendan Lee's got the undercut onto softs, with Lucas just behind him. They're 2.3, and they're on softs, which are much quicker than the mediums at this stage. They're obviously the first lap on both tyres. So yeah, the gap is going to be shortening very quickly, and very soon they will be onto the back of us. And what will determine, who comes out on top here with these strategies is if me and David, the medium runners, are able to hold up these soft runners for as long as we can, pretty much. Because if they get past straight away, and they catch up really quickly now, and then they get past straight away, they're going to be able to pull quite a few seconds, I would say, before the gap starts to stabilize and their soft tires drop off, and then we have the chance to catch back up. But if we can delay that by as long as possible, or maybe even not let them pass in the first place, then we have a much better chance. And this is actually what ends up happening. So as you can see now, there's David coming out of the pits. We are going to overtake him because he's a little bit slow on the rejoining the track there. We would have lost time, I think, if we just stayed behind him. So yeah, it's not that it matters because the main straight, the DRS is very powerful. So yeah, track position is not super important for me and David, because you'll see we keep switching positions. But yeah, Brendan already 1.1 behind, so as you can see, them softs are rapid at this stage, and they're catching up very quickly. And moving on now to lap number 13, and as you can see, there's Brendan Lee. He's the first soft runner to overtake us, so lap 13 out of 22, and we've got one of the soft runners ahead of us. And now at this point, my goal would have been just try and stick with Brendan as close as you can. Don't let him break DRS or anything. The softs are still, I'd say, a decent bit quicker than the mediums at this stage, but Brendan is on pretty old softs because he was the one who pit early and got the undercut. That's pretty much why He's up at the front with us right now. Also, that 3-second penalty, I'm pretty sure, doesn't count. So yeah, Brendan is still definitely in with a fight for this win. So yeah, as long as we can stick with stay in the DRS, we should be fine. We should have Brendan covered off because he's compromised his strategy a little bit by going for that big undercut. And that's also helped us quite a bit in terms of the fact of now we're getting dragged along. As you can see, Brendan still has a bit more grip than us, gap up to 5/10, but we are going to stay in the DRS. And also, because of this train, is making it hard for Lucas, Barry, Jarno, all of them guys on the fresh softs to get past David and then get past me. So yeah, this strategy is, I'd say, working out very well so far. Going on to lap 14 and still only one soft runner ahead of us, who I believe, because of the speed we have, we might overtake Brendan here. And yeah, we do. Also, Brendan is flashing. That's another thing. So Brendan really is in a pretty poor situation with ERS wise, tyre life wise. All he has is track position. As you can see, the Ferraris creating a roadblock, not allowing the faster Lucas Blakely and Jarno to get through, which is just helping us more and more. But unfortunately, we didn't quite have enough speed to break the DRS when they're battling. As you can see, the gap to Brendan 6/10 right now. But unfortunately, it's not worth deploying all my battery to try and break out because if we're unsuccessful, then we've just used a load of battery deployment for nothing. So yeah, we're not going to go for the high risk strategy. Maybe if they battled a bit more and the gap got to 8/10, then I would deploy everything and just absolutely go for it. But yeah, I don't think it was worth trying there. Just for it to not work out and they stay in the DRS anyway, and I'm left with no battery. So yeah, still in the lead on lap 14 out of 22, looking good so far. No soft runners are past us yet. Although I say that, Brendan has DRS now. He may go for the move again. I think he will. Yeah, just you have so much speed. Gotta be careful not to let David go as well. 2 Ferraris up front. Oh my God, that's a sight you don't want to see. But yeah, look how close everyone is now, and Brendan is slowing down quite a bit, causing a lot of carnage behind us. And I believe somewhere in all of this, Lucas actually got damaged. So yeah, this is ruthless how close you stay in these trains. Anything can happen. Someone breaks a tiny bit early, and bam, your wing's gone. But yeah, sticking with Brendan nicely as them soft tyres drop off. And soon enough, we're going to get to the point where the pace difference starts to level out a bit more. So the longer and longer we can go like this without letting any soft runners go, the better. But as you can see now, Jarno ahead of Lucas. He's going to look to try and get a move on and use them fresh softs to his advantage. They're still pretty fast, as you can see, through this middle sector. Brendan's pulled out to 6/10. So we gotta be a bit careful there. David and Jarno very close behind us. Brendan pulling away a little bit, but luckily this straight is absolutely ridiculous. And you see the gap 7/10, a little bit of ERS, and then back in the DRS, and we've caught all the way back up to Brendan. Look at the pace difference you have there. That is absolutely insane. And we actually go for the move. That's how much extra speed we have. I don't know if Brendan actually slowed down a little bit there, but the pace difference was absolutely ridiculous in terms of straight line speed. So yeah, lap 16 still in the lead. Things are looking very good. Still got Jarno in there on them softs. Always a sight to worry about. Brendan, we don't have to worry so much about due to his ERS situation, and the tyre wear would be getting pretty bad at this stage, I think. Still, I'd say probably level in terms of grip to the mediums, but I definitely think Jarno, who's been sitting in the train, has not used much of his tyres and still has a lot of performance left in them. So yeah, moving on to lap 17, and as you can see here, the gap goes to 8/10 to Brendan. Now, out of this corner, maybe you could argue that I should have used ERS here to see what I can do. As you see, the gap's 8/10. I'm really not sure, even almost 9/10. I'm not really sure why I didn't use any battery. I really can't remember my thought process as to why I didn't try and use anything and break out, but if I had to think of something, it would be Tanitsa was saving all this battery, and if I was to use all my battery, for example, and get a gap to a second, David would still have DRS here on Brendan. He would overtake Brendan, still have a lot of battery to deploy as well, and he'd end up back within my DRS. That's the only thing I can think of, or unless I just thought that even using ERS and the gap being at 9 tenths, I wouldn't have broke the DRS, which is pretty stupid. Sometimes you've got to take these risks and you deploy your battery and see what you can do. But for some reason, I just didn't do anything when I seen the gap at 9 tenths, which is very strange, and I think could possibly be the mistake that well, obviously you'll see what happens now, but now Brendan is back within 6 tenths, and at this point, I believe I was told by Danny Bresnay that Tanitsa is just sitting behind him, and he's got a lot of battery saved up. So, yeah, I think the win right now is going to be between me and Tanitsa, unless Jarno can do something to get past. And we're going to skip on here to the final lap of the race. As you can see, we have a little bit of ERS left over. David has a 3-second time penalty, but to confirm that will be removed. So, yeah, this is for the win. Coming onto the final straight now for the final time, getting a good exit, deploy all our battery, everything we have left. But as you know, the DRS on this straight is very overpowered, and I'll just let you watch the rest of this. Now, leave down in the comment section below whether you think that was my fault or not. Honestly, the rejoin onto the track, it seems pretty dumb, but when you're in my situation and that's happened to you after leading the entire race, you really I just didn't want to lose any more positions, so I tried to cut the track, keep it under control, and I did come back on, just behind David, and Jana was coming past, but unfortunately I moved too far over to the left because of all the gravel onto my tyres, and there was absolutely nothing Jarno could do. So I think even after that incident, if we had stuck to the right hand side of the track, then we could have still finished in a pretty decent position, but it happens. But the actual contact with David, in my opinion, he could have left a little bit more room. I really had nowhere to go. I just got bounced off his car onto the grass over the gravel, and that's the win gone. So yeah. Anyway, so yeah, we go from a pretty convincing, solid performance to 0 points, and that just sums up the championship. But yeah, I hope you all enjoyed the race anyway. That's the level it takes, to be honest, to be leading an esports race. Absolute, barely any mistakes. The driving was almost perfect. Multiple times that we had the gap at 7, 8 tenths. We really were in control, but yeah, maybe just a lack of experience fighting them very aggressive drivers, and a little bit of bad luck. And yeah, that's how you lose. That's how you lose a race. But yeah, thank you all for watching. Anyway, I'll have Mexico and Brazil. It's the final 2 races. I'll have them up very soon. And I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.